It is that time again. It's time to run down the top 5 best games of 2025. I know it's been a while since we've done a video, but don't worry, your boy is back and we're kicking off the new year with some positivity. Today we'll talk about the 5 games I thought were the best games I personally played myself in 2025, ending with my game of the year. I played and streamed a lot of games this past year. Yes, we haven't really been that active on this channel in 2025. I was very active on another channel, but I was very active on this channel. I do apologize for that. We're trying to get things going over here, but I have been very active on my Twitch stream every Monday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, where I stream literally for those 4 days, for 4 hours a day, sometimes longer. Play a bunch of video games, RPGs, FPS games, you name it. We're a variety content creator over there on my Twitch stream. The link to that will be in the description box below, so head down there if you want to see me on a more normal basis. But I'm trying to hammer out videos here on the main channel of YouTube, so hang with your boy, stick with your boy. We're getting in there. Anyways, 2025 was a year filled with plenty of good games and great games. As always, I only play on PC and Xbox, so if you're a Nintendo fan, don't get angry when I don't mention a Nintendo game. It's nothing personal. I don't really do the tribalism thing or the bias thing. I'm only doing this video about games that I've actually played. I play a lot of games on PC and Xbox, but I haven't played on PC. I haven't played Nintendo, and if it's not a Sony game that's on PC, I haven't played the PlayStation games as well, unless it's on PC. Lastly, before we get into the list, this year I won't be including remakes. Usually I'm okay with include remakes into my videos when it comes to this kind of video, but I'm not going to, because my opinion on the idea of using remakes in a top 5 best games has kind of changed. So I just don't really want to do that anymore. So I do feel like it's unfair to especially because let's say you have a game like Spider-Man 2 or Last of Us, or any kind of game like that's getting a remake, and it was a game that was great when it was already out, so now you're double dipping at this essentially. So anyways, let's get things started with number 5 on the list. Coming in at number 5 is Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Wuchang was a game that I had a respectable amount of hype for, and I say it lived up to that hype. It's one of the best Soul-like games to release in the last few years, and in general, it's one of the best Soul-like games to release, period. It was a gorgeous game with an intriguing enough story, great gameplay, a varied world with great atmosphere. Some mechanics could have used more fine-tuning, but nothing that hurts where it stands, for me. But nothing that hurts to a point to where it would dethrone it from being in my top 5 best games of the year. There's been drama around some of the combat choices on it forcing you to change your class here and there, or forcing you to have to learn certain things, and which is commonly when it comes to a Soul-like game, you have the freedom to just do whatever build you want to do. But I will say, to counteract that, the game allows you to to respec your character for free at will whenever you feel like it. So it wasn't too big of a deal when it comes to, hey, the game kind of wants you to use an axe in this area of the game, or they want you to focus on parrying in this area of the game, and things like that. Overall, Wuchang Fallen Feathers, which I never did a review of, it's a very, very good game. It's kind of been forgotten, because it came out kind of at a time where there's enough months after its release to forget about it, but it still was a very, very good game in my opinion. Coming in at number 4 is Assassin's Creed Shadows. I know, crazy, right? Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is one of those games where it's a hit or miss depending on who you ask about it. You ask 3 people. I don't want to say 3. Let's go a bigger number. You ask 30 people their opinion of this game. 10 will say it's woke nonsense. 10 will say it was a very decent game, and 10 of them will say it's about a 7 out of 10. To me, Assassin's Creed Shadows, one of the more controversial games of the year for sure. Shadows was a pretty damn good game in my opinion. Had me hooked the entire time playing it. Japan looks phenomenal. The combat was great, though not too different from what you'd be used to with modern Assassin's Creed. It's Assassin's Creed, which means it's a Ubisoft game, so it follows that Ubisoft formula, and that formula can be a hit or miss with people. It can throw you off. It can frustrate you. It can make you not want to play the games because you're just fatigued of how Ubisoft designs their games. My biggest gripe with this game is it's a bit of the story kind of feels like whatever, because the way Ubisoft tells their stories in Assassin's Creed games has been whatever. So what I mean when I say it's whatever, the way the last few Assassin's Creed games have been told, you don't really find a connection to a lot of the villains. You don't find a lot of connection to the story. You don't find a lot of connection to the NPCs. They don't matter to you. You don't remember their names. I couldn't name you one NPC from this game other than the ones who are like big historical figures, like, you know, Obanaga. You know, think about that when it comes to Valhalla. Think about that when it comes to Mirage. Think about when it comes to that when it comes to like Odyssey. You don't remember, you know, NPCs compared to like older games where you remember the NPCs, because not only were they like big historical figures, but they matter. They had great story to them, and they had a big impact. And they also had a connection to the main character. You know, when you think about Assassin's Creed 2, they didn't just randomly have Da Vinci in the game. He seemed like he was Ezio's best friend. Whereas like you don't really have that vibe in modern Assassin's Creed games, where it's like the NPCs don't feel like there's actual connection between them and the main character. That's what I mean when I say the story just kind of feels whatever sometimes. Not all the time, just sometimes it feels like whatever. You know, these mission board and hunt styles, just not it in my opinion. Outside of that, the only negatives about, you know, Shadows that I want to mention is, as much as I like Yosuke, the idea of him not being able to like do parkour better, or the fact that he breaks ropes, makes him annoying to use in open world. I have a review of this game and I mentioned it before about Yosuke is such a great character, but using him in open world is just tedious and not fun because he has some limitations, because he's not an assassin, air quotes. So you just find yourself switching back to Naue whenever you're doing anything in the open world. Outside of that, I really enjoyed playing Shadows. You know, it helped erase the horrid taste of my mouth left by Valhalla. It is a very good game. It's visually astonishing. It has a great soundtrack. Again, the combat, when it works, is very, very fun and good. But there is those moments where you just kind of want more from it. And that's why it's not higher on this list when it comes to my top 5 games of 2025. Coming in at number 3 is Digimon Storytime Stranger. I've made videos in the past talking about how rare it is for there to be a good Digimon game. Bandai does so many different things with this IP. When you do things like that, you're bound to have more duds than hits. If you're like let's say a Wizard of the Coast, fan, or a Warhammer fan, like if you play those kind of games, you know what I mean when it's like there's just so many different genres and games within the D&D IP or within a Warhammer IP where there's just so many bad games. It's the same thing with Digimon. Bandai Namco just puts out so many different types of Digimon games, and there's so many bad games, but there are just a small few that are actually really good, like Digimon Cyber Sleuth. But that game also had a problem. The combat was horrible, and so was like the camera. Digimon Storytime Stranger fixes the issues we had with Cyber Sleuth, which was a great game, but it was just bogged down by its bad controls. This game doesn't suffer from that. This game doesn't suffer from having those bad controls or being bogged down by any of the negative things I would say Cyber Sleuth have. It's not only a great Digimon game, but a great turn-based game, a great story, it has great gameplay, very vibey music that gets you bopping and gets your energy going, and just outright a fun video game. That last bit seems to be something people forget when it comes to video games, especially when it comes to developers. Your game has to be fun, and this game is fun. Now there is a little bit of nostalgia there because I love Digimon. I grew up watching, I grew up playing with the cards, I grew up playing with the toys, I grew up owning freaking like my own Digivices. So like I do feel that love and affection towards getting an Agumon and Digivolve him up to War Greymon and things like that. But not even like outside of that, like that nostalgic feeling that I have towards the game, it's just a good video game. It's a phenomenal game where there's not really much I would say about a negative that would be a negative, other than I kind of wish that they kind of let you know that you want to go to a part of the game. I'm not gonna have I try not to have spoilers in my videos. There's a point in at the beginning of the game where you get side quests, and it's very, very easy to forget that you have side quests and be put into a portion of the game where you go a long time without being able to go back to do the side quests once you notice that you have them. I wish the game kind of did that thing that most games do, where it's like, hey, you're about to enter a chapter of the game that won't allow you to return to this portion of the game for a very long time. Make sure you do all the side quests. Some games do that. Even this game actually does that later in the game, but not during a moment where you kind of want to. But outside of that, like I said, very good game. The developers hit it out the park with this game, and it did what I always say is something that a good game does well. leave you wanting more. This game left me wanting more Digimon. Bandai, I want more Digimon. Coming in number 2, and thus my runner-up for Game of the Year, is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The first Kingdom Come was a acquired taste game. It's very niche. You have to be not only interested in the setting, but interested in games that are intentionally designed in a way to be difficult. It has some of the most complex and some of the most annoying lock picking and pickpocketing that you'll see in any video game. It has this slowed down combat with the aims to be more realistic. You pretty much sucked at everything until you did enough before Henry to get good at it. It was a good game, but a game that didn't get attention because of these mechanics and choices. It kind of reminds me of like the Metro series. The Metro series does things on purpose to make the game harder or to make the game more unique and realistic. And those mechanics that the game has are things other people find as negatives that they don't want to do or they don't like. Same thing comes here to Kingdom Come Deliverance. It can become an acquired taste. Kingdom Come 2 reached a bigger audience and kind of went under the radar because it's an RPG that was out during the hype of Clair Obscur. Make no mistake, Kingdom Come 2 does everything the first game did well, but even better. It is a better game in every way than the first game, which is what you want to see from a game. You want to see a good game become a great game. The first Kingdom Come is a good game. Kingdom Come 2 is a great game from top to bottom. It has strong characters, amazing storytelling, some of the best first-person melee combat you'll experience with this kind of time period. It's just a phenomenal experience. They try so much to immerse you in the world of this time period. I think it's the Roman Empire or something like that, or the Holy Roman Empire in Bohemia. So even when it comes to being a medieval game, it's a medieval franchise. Talk about 1 and 2. That takes place somewhere that's not a common location. Understand that this game is set, it will be modern Germany essentially. Whereas like most medieval games, you're thinking more UK, England kind of like territory. It is a game that is phenomenal. It has so much emphasis on player choice. And if you know me, I'm a big Bioware guy. I love player choice. I love how complex the game is. I love how the combat is. Even when it comes to what I mentioned before about the first game, where they make things hard on purpose until you get better at using a bow enough to where Henry becomes a better archer. I like these mechanics about the game, and it's why I have such reverence for it, right? I have it to where I have it on this list because it's just that good of a game. Last but not least, my game of the year, you know what it's going to be. Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a game I've written a review for but not posted because I thought it's been a long enough time between now and the release of the game where reviewing it this late would be pointless. If you guys still do it, post it on some Noah type shit, but not as long as this video. Shout out to him, he makes great videos. But I don't know, maybe we'll post a review. We'll see. I don't like, my brain kind of like gets a little afraid to post reviews late. But maybe people won't care anyway. So it's like, if you want to make the video, make the video. But anyways, we're rambling. Expedition 33 is a game with a lot of hype behind it. So much hype, it reached that status of being, so successful, people wanted to fail just because. We were at that stage with this game. People want the game to fail for no reason other than it's just so popular and so successful. It swept the Game Awards, won awards across the board from other publications like Joystick. This is our when it'll win awards again at the DICE Awards, and it's all deserved. This game is generational. It is in the same category as Elden Ring, Witcher 3, Skyrim, Baldur's Gate 3, and so on. Games that are so good, they will be benchmarks going forward when it comes to the genre that they are in. Turn-based games will look at this game and copy it. They'll change things up, obviously to not be so obvious, but they'll look at that formula. They'll look at what they did and be like, okay, we can do things similar to this game. This is one of those games where I can say the words video games exist as art because this game is art. And yes, there's that drama about like them having like newspapers at the beginning of the game, like early development. Yeah, like placeholder like newspapers that was like AI generated that they got off stick because they were using like placeholder assets from Epic, and it turned out that was AI. And they got rid of that stuff like before it even came out. But people were like, oh, no, AI this, but like it's whatever. Anyways, again, we're rambling. From beginning to end, this game is captivating. That is one of the best words I can use to describe this game other than just the word art. It's a captivating video game. An all-time when it comes to soundtrack, top-tier voice acting, breathtaking visuals, and amazing combat. This game deserves all the praise it gets and then some. Because even though it's getting all this hype and all this praise, I still feel like all of that is not enough to describe just how great of a game this is. You know, from top to bottom, yes, it's a game, one of those games that's designed to be hard. So, you know, it does have that, you know, that ceiling of how many people can get into it. But even still, there's people out there who don't like hard games who played this game because of just how amazing the visuals are, how amazing the soundtrack is, and how just phenomenal the combat looks. This game's aesthetically appealing. It makes you want to play the game, you know, and it does that in a way, not just from its music and its combat, but its voice acting as well. Everything this game does ties into each other so well to make you want to play more of it. This is a game where they are planning on doing a movie of it before the game even was fully released. There's already plans to do a movie because there were just artists thought process. This is gonna be a success. This game's gonna hit out of the park, and it did. The funny thing is, I remember like a few years ago, the very first time, which is my review again that I haven't posted yet, that when this game was first announced and showcased it, people were like, "This is gonna be a fake game." People did not believe it would be a real game because it looked too good to be true. And people were, this is at the same time where you're getting all these fake games like the Debut 4 and Elysium, things like that. Like, we just did not believe this game would be real. And it was. And it lived up to all that hype. Anyways, that's my top 5 games 2025. Stay tuned for my most anticipated games 2026. If you all enjoyed the video, I'll try to not, you know, have so much time between video releases. So stick with your boy. If you all have a good rest of your day, do all things algorithm likes. I be your boy, AnubisArchangel. Stay true to yourself, to be kind to others, for you be kind. I'll see you guys. I'm out of here. Deuces.